Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Holmes. Welcome to tonight's edition of ProjectManagementForum.net. This is part of a series I'm doing on project management basics, and the focus of tonight's discussion is going to be ethics and professional conduct. Now, over the next couple of these videos, I'm going to go into some detail about PMI's view of ethics and professional conduct. We're going to talk about the 4 different values that PMI has. We're going to describe the aspirational and the mandatory standard of each. And we're going to do that because PMI says that, when we look in their PMBOK, PMI says that we have an ethics and professional conduct to instill confidence in the project management profession and to help an individual in making wise decisions, particularly when faced with difficult situations where they may be asked to compromise their integrity or values. Well, that's a lot, right? Let me say this. It is one of the primary responsibilities of the project manager to communicate to key stakeholders the status of the project. Hard stop. I know that that sounds easy to do, but in reality, there's a lot of pressures on a project manager, right? And so really where I see the ethics and professional conduct come into play is the pressure between of not reporting bad news to the organization about a project and the ethical requirement to always tell the truth. And if you boil down all of these different values that we're going to talk about, again, in my opinion, they all distill down into the simple rule of always tell the truth about what's going on in your project. And I know that sounds easy to do, but what if you've got a very high profile project with a very aggressive sponsor who doesn't necessarily want the executive steering committee to know that the project is having problems? Now, they might not be behaving ethically, they just might not understand projects. There's also a tendency, as I have seen, to sort of distill bad news out so that when you report out to the senior executives, all is well. To the extent that things aren't well, they're going to get well soon. That's why you often have dashboards that progress rapidly from green to yellow to red, or sometimes straight from green to red, because people try to be optimistic about their projects. And in my opinion, sometimes that leads to some ethical failings. So we're going to go over in the course of the next several of these the ethics and professional conduct responsibilities, but they all boil down to always tell the truth about what's really going on in your project. If you can do that, other than for the test, you don't really need to memorize these other ones, but resist the institutional pressures to sometimes be overly optimistic. If you're behind schedule, tell people you're behind schedule. If you're having resource issues, tell people you're having resource issues. If you're doing an intellectual property and you're failing in SAT testing, tell them you're failing in SAT testing. Running a project is all about transparency, and if you are 100% transparent and you are honest about what's going on in your project, you will be in complete alignment with the ethics and professional conduct standards. All right, thank you so much. There's actually several articles I've written about this at www.projectmanagementforum.net if you'd like to check that out. And we'll have another one of these up in a couple of days where we actually go into the 4 values. Thanks.